All right, so here's a training video for ISMs, Inside Sales Managers. I'm here with Leo, and he is going to help me explain how to use the new process for ISMs in Salesforce. So we are logged in as Greg, who is an ISM, and we'll start at the home page. And Leo, so the first thing to get to these reports that they're going to use to manage callers or inside sales reps, they're going to go to reports, right?
Yes.
And what's the name of the report that we're working on here?
All right. So depending on your office, what you want to do is you want to type in team lead roster. And you'll see the rosters for every office. So you just click on your office. Since I'm Greg, I'll go in as Los Angeles.
All right, so now we've got this spreadsheet, and it looks like we've got team leads and who's on their team. All right, so the ISR is on the team leads. And what else have we got on this report?
All right, we have all the data that we usually send out via email. For instance, quarterly reports with dial counts and seating charts with the phone extensions or attendance emails. All of that will be in one place, so you guys can all go on and edit this information, and it'll all be done in one place on one form in Salesforce.
Okay, so this is the report that they can see everything in one view, which is great. Now, another view that is going to let us modify this information is going to be through the Inside Sales Reps tab up here. So we click on that, and here there's a bunch of views that we pre-made, and the one that Greg's interested in will be LA Inside Sales. So he clicks on that, and then this pops up, and these are all of the columns that we kind of just looked at in the report, but here we can easily manipulate them. So if you want to kind of stretch out a field, you can stretch it out there. But you see, if you can't read it, you're like, hey, what's that say? It's period 1 calls, period 2 calls. Let's start from the left and work our way to the right. So as an ISM, why would I want this column here? The inside sales rep, I want to do what with that?
All right. So at the beginning of the day, I know every office may do it differently. In LA, usually the team lead will send out a attendance email to the ISM and HR and stuff, and that it would basically say who's here and who isn't, who's on time and who isn't. So on here, what you would do is you would click on everybody who is here in the box at the far left, right? Mm-hmm. And then you would double click on the status. And then you would put, whether all these people are here or late or, whatever they are. And then you would select all 5 records.
Okay, so that is the benefit of doing this really fast. If you just want to change one record, obviously you do that one. If you do this, it's all going to change. And then if you hit save, we won't hit save because this is live data. But all of those would change to that status that you chose here. So it's just a really quick way to update all of these fields. All right, so obviously phone extension is the same thing. And look, yesterday there were no phone extensions, and all of a sudden today, bam, we got lots of extensions, so that's great. Notes, why would they need notes?
All right, so if someone is late, I understand that HR may want to know what time they arrived or, whatever. You can use that note field for your attendance.
So you can just say late because of blah, 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 right? So you just put that in there and you say, I just want to do it on that one record, and then that would update the notes. Now here we have no apps made, and apps is short for appointments. And this is a way that we can keep track of which inside sales reps have made no appointments. Now, the one thing about this is you got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, you have to note that what this report is all of the data is going to stay on this till the next day. So this is going to be cumulative. We're going to try to say, okay, you know what? Today, this person had one um,
Day.
1 day of no appointments. Okay, so then tomorrow that one would still be there, and if they had another one, they would put two, and they would keep track of that so that we can kind of find inside sales reps that are not performing, and that's a great way to kind of quantify that and visually see, okay, this person obviously needs more help training, but at least it gives us access to that. So that's what that does. And then what about training here, Leo?
Okay, so when people, when your ISRs get hired, HR would immediately put them at week 1. So that will let you know which one of your callers are in their first week of training, and second week of training you would change it at the next week, or you would have your team lead change it, or whoever is designated for that job. So they would start at week 1. Next week, you know that person is on their second week, so you would change it the next week to week 1. Once they're complete with their training, you would put complete. So everyone who's been here longer than 2 weeks would be at complete.
All right, and the period 1, period 2, period 3, period 4 calls, that's coming from Digium, where all the inside sales manager has to do is put in the cumulative amount. So say period 1 they made 50 calls, and then period 2 they made 50 calls, but the total would be 100 because it was 50 in period 2, 50 in period 1. So they would just actually put 100 in period 2, and then if they made 50 in period 3, they put 150, and then 200 in period 4. And then what happens is in the report that we were looking at over here, if we go back here to the report and we look at the roster, this is going to tell us the actual number of calls. There's a formula built in here that's going to say, okay, this was what was done in period 1. Mathematically, this is what was done in period 2, period 3, period 4. So keep in mind that what you're doing up here in that report is you're just putting in the cumulative amount that you're getting from Digium.
Right. So at every period, you would just put the total amount of calls that it says for that caller. So every period, you would just log in and say, hey, this extension had this many calls, put it on there. Next period, the total amount of number of calls, you would just put it in there, and then Salesforce will automatically subtract the number from the last period to let you know what actual amount of calls they made that period.
So here, what we have is team leads. Now, when HR enters in an ISR into Salesforce, they are told and instructed to make sure that a team lead is assigned. So we are kind of in the transition process. So some of them haven't been assigned, but also the teams are always in flux. And so what we've done is we've given the ISMs the ability to go in here and say, you know what, we're moving the teams around, and so they can pick and choose the different team leads that ISR is going to be on. So all ISMs can do that, and that'll give them the control to make sure that our rosters are up to date. And who better to update them than the people right there in the call centers? So that's that. And then if you want to specifically get to a person's record, you can click on this. And why would they want to do that, Leo?
Okay. So sometimes you don't want to batch information. You want to just you just want to just go to one person and just do it one person at a time, or you just have a couple people and you just want to go into that person, right? So you can either click on the name on this report or on the roster report that we showed you before. You just click on the name of the caller and it'll take you to their profile. And this is their profile. And all you would do is click on their name, and then you can edit this information, the same information on the charts on this profile page. So if you click edit at the top, or you can double click on each field that you want to edit, whichever one you want to do, and then you can put the information in, just for one single person. Let's say, for example, you have one person that says unexcused absence, right? But they ended up coming in later on that day. you would click on that caller, and you would go to their status, and you would put late instead of unexcused.
Maybe drop a note in.
Yeah, and then drop a note. Hey, arrived at 12 or whenever he came in, and then you would put the phone extension that he sat at. Click save.
So here we are logged in as Aria in Carlsbad, and one thing we want to point out is at the end of the day, this report needs to be exported and by the ISMs or the so ISMs are going to come here and export and click export. It's going to be an Excel sheet and name it whatever. Save it wherever you're going to save it, and then email that to
Patrick or whoever you need to send your reports at, your dial count reports or whatever at the end of the day, your RVPs, your all the important people. Right?
Yeah. So just the whole reason that's important is that data is going to be erased the next day. So we need to have a snapshot of each day what the amount of calls per caller is. Yeah. All right. So just to kind of say in the beginning of the day, after you export that, is that when they zero it out?
Yeah. So after you export that, you should just put them all as zero.
Then how do you put them all as zero? You're going to go to the inside sales rep. You're going to click on go, and you're just going to select all, and you're going to go over here, and you're going to go in and put 0 for all 25 selected records, and 0 for all 25 selected records, save, and then they're all going to be 0. All right, so, but down here, they've got 61 records, so all of them, you would have to change them all for that. That's a lot of records. But you have to make sure that all period 1, period 2, period 3, and period 4 are zeroed out.
And at the end of the day, or beginning of the day, whichever one, just so it doesn't confuse anybody the next day.
Is attendance, okay? So when ISMs in the morning, what's the time that they want to alert HR about the attendance, like 8 o'clock?
Yeah, usually HR gives you a morning deadline to send your attendance so that they know who's here and who isn't. Just in case it's somebody's third day no call no show, they just want to see if they came so they can start terming them, or for whatever reason they may have give you a deadline. So what you want to do is you want to take your attendance on either this screen or on the actual roster screen. So you would want to take your attendance here or on another screen, just as long as you take it and let them know who's on time, who isn't, and then just send them a quick email. You can have your team leads do it, or the ISM or the assistant can just say, hey, we did our attendance, just so HR can know. That way they know when to export this spreadsheet themselves, so they have their attendance already.
Yeah, and just one little thing to note is just your own HR rep, just make sure that you communicate with them so that they're on board with what we just told you, which we think they will be, but just make sure that they know how you're going to track attendance with them. Thank you.